Going.
Ready.
Hi everybody, we're gonna make some dough this morning. I apologize for this, but here we go. This is what I want you to do before class, okay? And I'm not gonna give you any measurements because your measurements are gonna be different than mine, but I'm just gonna show you the procedure and I want you to be able to do it before you come. So we're gonna start. I got most of my stuff out here. I'm gonna start with butter. So you're gonna put your butter, and this is gonna work a little bit different for you guys because you're not gonna be making as much as me. I'm making a lot. This is for Mindy's meals. You're gonna put the butter in a pan and put it on the stove. Now you have to be careful that you don't burn your butter, but you wanna get it nice and melty, all the way melted. And it wouldn't matter, it doesn't matter if it even gets a little bit brown. See if I can light myself on fire on film. It's good if it gets brown. It doesn't matter if it does, but it's good if it does. So then you're gonna measure out your milk. And just kind of have that ready to go in your butter because you're gonna warm this up with your butter. You don't wanna boil it, but you just wanna warm it up. And then you're gonna measure out your yeast in a separate container. Let's see, what am I doing? 4, 8. I keep my yeast in the freezer because it helps to keep it good. But if you're using bad yeast, you'll have problems. So make sure your yeast is either fresh or has been frozen or something like that. Yeast is the one thing that kills bread. You have to keep your yeast alive. There are several things that you do that kill your yeast. Number one, if you put your yeast directly onto your salt, it will kill your yeast. So make sure you keep those two things separated, and I'll show you how I do that in my mixer. The other thing is if you get it too hot, so if you boil your liquid and then pour that directly on your yeast, it will kill your bread. Yeast needs 3 things to activate. It needs food, it needs warmth, and it needs moisture, right? So I've got my yeast in here, and I've already measured out my sugar for my thing. I'm just gonna put a little bit of sugar in here. That's the food for the yeast, right? And then I'm gonna put some hot water in here. You really can't kill your yeast with hot water from your tap. It doesn't get hot enough. Unless you have like no safety protections on your, like it has to be like almost boiling hot to kill it. So you can go ahead and use hot tap water. It doesn't have to be lukewarm, it can be really, really warm. And you just wanna put in enough. You just wanna put in enough to moisten it. And so when you stir it, it's not gonna be pasty, but it's also not gonna be like soup, right? I'll show you. So we're gonna stir this up. It's got the sugar, the yeast, and just a little bit of water. See, if you look at that, it's still kind of chunky, but it's not pasty, but it's not like soup. And then it will start to activate. You can already see the bubbles coming. And just a second, and it'll be coming out over the top of this thing. So we're gonna let that sit for a minute. Our butter is still boiling over there. So I'm gonna go over and chop up that butter to make sure that it's doing what it needs to do. This is Laurel, by the way, everyone.
Hello. They're BFFs.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna chop up this butter so that it'll melt a little more evenly. We're gonna let that keep going. Okay. All right, back over here. Okay, now here's my mixer. You guys have probably a bread mixer, whatever you're using, a Bosch, a KitchenAid, whatever you do. I like to put beside the mixer, I'm gonna have my eggs and the rest of my sugar and my salt.
Do the eggs need to be room temperature or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not real picky about that stuff. And I don't know. When I make cookies, I don't blend my butter first. I don't know. I don't know if it's my mixer or what it is, but I'm not real picky about that stuff. You just gotta make sure you don't kill your yeast. That's the biggest issue with bread. You get a nice, you don't get any eggshells in your stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna put my eggs in here. I'm gonna put the rest of my sugar. See my yeast? Look what it's doing already. And I'm gonna add my salt in here. Again, I'm doing a lot more than you. But notice I put my salt on the bottom. And then now that I've got my salt on the bottom, I'm gonna put the flour in. So you're gonna have this kind of layered effect going on.
You're putting it on the bottom, but on top of the eggs.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where that goes in, as long as it's not with the yeast. As long as you're not pouring your yeast directly on top. I'm gonna go check this. I'm gonna go check my butter. As long as you're not pouring your yeast directly on top of your salt. Okay, so my butter, see, it's gone a little bit brown. Even if it gets really brown, it's okay. It actually tastes better if it gets really brown. But see how, so when butter gets really melty, it gets super foamy, right? And that means that all of the water, all the steam is coming out. And usually that is the perfect time to dump this in. It'll take away all that. So you dump your milk in. And then we're gonna leave that because we want that milk to come up to a warm temperature. You do not want to boil this. Under any circumstances, you do not want to boil this. So you kind of got to watch it a little bit, right? So see, I got a little bit of brown butter and my milk in there. We're gonna leave that for a second. Just gonna let it get warm. Oh, look at my yeast. Woo! Whoa. Okay, I'm just gonna get some flour in here so that I can put my yeast. Sorry, I got the big flour. We got the big boys. I need a little bit more flour. I'm gonna have to get it from my other side. But I'm gonna put this yeast in here on top of the flour. Normally I put all the flour in here at once, but I need to get more flour. So I'm just gonna dump this yeast in. Get all of it. And then I gotta grab a little bit more flour, but I've noticed that milk.
I'll go stir
Just pull it off.
Pull it off.
Do you want me to here? There you go. Not yet. Okay. Do you want me to just stir this? Do you want me to just keep it, or is it ready? Put it over here, I'm ready. Fit this down. Okay, so so normally I put all the flour in, then I put in the yeast, and then I put in the milk. If you put your fingers in that milk and it burns you, it's too hot. So, well, I guess that's all relative. I don't burn anymore, so I can get I can stick my finger in this, and it's hot. It's really hot, but I don't want to it's not gonna burn, right? Do not want to boil it, okay? And then I'm gonna dump this in. Okay, and now, you should have a dough hook for your mixer. It's gonna look something like this, not a K-hook, the kind like a cookie batter. You don't want a whisk. You want a dough hook because this is gonna knead your dough, right? I gotta put this in. Okay, so you're gonna let this go for maybe 5 minutes until your dough. I start it a little bit low, kind of let things start to incorporate a little bit, just so the flour doesn't go everywhere. And then I'm going to turn it up. And just let it go. And it'll turn into a nice dough. It'll all form together. And I'll show you how it should, how sticky it should be. Never actually watched it do this before. It starts to pull away from the dough. It becomes a ball. This is when it's the 5 minutes in the bowl.
Pull away from the edges. Yeah.
It's a little bit sticky, but not super sticky. But if you look at it, you can see that it's still got like, it's not smooth yet. Like it should be smooth. It'll get smooth. So in the meantime, I'm going to take this bowl and I'm going to spray it with some cooking spray. And then we'll put that dough in here. Maybe if I have some, Laurel, did I spray with it?
Right there.
It's right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna spray this big bowl. Spray it really good. Then we're gonna put the dough in there, then we're gonna spray the dough, and then we're gonna cover it with plastic wrap. Okay, see now the dough's smooth. Do you see how it's smooth? I'll shut it off, but see how it's turned smooth? Yeah. That means you're good. And really you can let it knead for a long time and it's fine. But see, this isn't even quite. But see, it wants to stick to me, but it doesn't. Do you see what I mean? It's soft. If it's not soft, then you don't have enough, you didn't put enough water in there, or it's got too much flour. But see, it'll stick to me just a tiny bit, but it's not sticky. Like,
But it's sticking to the bottom just a little when it needs.
Yeah, like it's okay if it sticks to you a little bit, but you don't want it to be sticky. Like the last bread we made was like batter, right? This one is not like that at all. So this actually the same recipe I use for dinner rolls as I do for cinnamon rolls. I just add a little extra sugar, so it's a little bit sweeter. But this one, these are dinner rolls is what I'm making right now. But it's the same dough. So if you want to use the same dough for dinner rolls, you can. So just put it in there like that.
How do you know how much sugar to use if you're making?
Okay, so I got your dough. You got it in your bowl. It's all nice and smooth. See how smooth it is, and it's soft. The gluten isn't super active right now, and as it rises, the gluten will loosen up, and that's what makes it get big. The air and the gluten loosen up, and that's what makes it really soft and nice. So we're gonna spray it really good, and then we're gonna put some saran wrap over that, and then you're gonna let it sit, and you're gonna bring it to class. Okay, see you in an hour.